instead of painting it on. Works just like it though. Basically acts like your glue. Now the bad thing about quills is they can break, and this one over here is broken. But you can put them together. And I still have to seam anyway, so sometimes I can get those little elements back on track when I seam. And I like to hold on when it starts sliding around while I'm seaming. I don't know if you can see that well or not. Now I want to make sure that I get rid of all my score marks. So when I'm seaming over here, focusing on trying to get rid of those lines. Alright, we've got our eyebrows on good enough to move on. I would work a little bit more on these, but obviously you don't need to see me working the whole time on eyebrows. Okay, mouth. If you want a mouth open, what you can do is dig out where you want that mouth to be. If you want to show teeth, once you've dug it out, the pieces that you've dug it out with are going to be the pieces that go back in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and score when I'm going to put that back in. I'm going to make that back into kind of like a little moon shape or a smile. And when you smile, you do not see your bottom teeth and your top teeth. You usually just see your top or your bottom. For most people, we have that overbite and you just see it. So just make one series of lines, dividing them down, up and down, vertical, and don't worry about the other. Now before I make the lines, I always like to make sure that it's going to fit back in. Looks like that'll fit back in fine. So I'm going to make just lines. I'm going to try to focus on making it in the middle, but let me go ahead and put my score marks on the back first. One line all the way across. And I'm just going to make 2 more lines. Chances are the lips will cover. Oh, I see one more. The lips will cover up most of it. I've got my scoring. And dip it in the water. And now I'm ready to put that right back in. And if you lose any of the lines by touching it, just go back in and use the toothpick over it, put them back in. Okay, now that I've got that, I'm going to score for where my lips are going to be. And once again, you can have fun. Are you going to have these massive lips or are you going to have these little lips? You get to decide what kind of features they're going to have. You just need to make sure that you have those normal features so it's going to look like it's a person. And we don't want to try to do or replicate a cartoon character because they're licensed. Now, if you're doing something like that just for yourself personally at home, that's fine. But for our purposes here in school, it needs to actually be something that's not duplicated because that's a copyright infringement. And you don't want to get in trouble for that. Okay, this is probably going to be a little big, but we're just going to put it on there anyway. So here's for my lips. I've still got a score just like before. None of that changes. I'm going to make this, I think, my upper lip. And I can always cut off anything that's extra too, so don't get frazzled if you make them too long like that one appears to be. Okay, all I've done since I stopped a second ago was I added the bottom lip on. Remember, you still have to seam these locations together. I'm going to get rid of any of your score marks. I'd come back in and make my teeth a little bit more crisp. You might want to wait till it dries a little bit. And now I'm ready to come back to something that I stopped. To make a pupil really easy, poke a hole in the center. And we waited so we didn't end up having an eyeball on a stick. And try to make them about the same size. And when you paint them, take a toothpick and just paint the inside of that black. Then you can color, you can make a little line around for it, or you can just paint on your cornea. Make eyebrows real quick. And eyebrows, just texture. You want to make sure that when you create hair, you have texture as well. That's important. Texture is one of those things that make things seem more real. So you want to use that as much as possible. Alright, ears, and then we're going to be done with this one. And on the second video, which I'll show you, then we'll deal with things like the hair and the accessories and what you put around their neck. So now we have a basic face. All we're doing now is making a ball, and I'm going to flatten that ball, and this is going to be 2 ears. When your clay starts cracking, add a little drop of water. And then it's going to make it nice and smooth. Before I even pick it up, I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. So we have a ball, we flattened it out, cutting it in half so that it's going to be 2 even ears. That doesn't mean you can't be silly and have one big ear and one little ear, but if you want them normal, then this is the easiest, quickest way to get that. Now what you do want to do is create all of your features first. For instance, do you want to have real earrings when we're done? You're going to want to flatten it a little bit, make it a little thinner. Because if it's really thick, an earring in the earring back isn't going to fit on that. It's not flexible like our ears are. Because it'll be hard like a rock, like clay is. Put all your detailing in first. Got those earlobes. You can draw it. You can shape it out however you want. And if you want that hole, you'll have to poke it more than once. But you want to do it while it's here first. You're going to have an earring. So poke a hole all the way through. You could even make a clay earring if you don't want to have a real one. And then I'm going to score where I'm going to attach. I'm going to add my water. I'm going to add them both, and then I'm going to score or seam them both. So once again, scoring on the side. Oops. Poke a hole where you want an earring. If you want it, don't have to have it. And the thing about clay is it's very malleable, especially this clay that I just got. It's very soft, so that means you can lose some of those lines very easily. Like when that fell, I just lost the little line that I made, so I'll have to put that back on. Seaming it on the front and on the back. Seaming it. On the back and on the front. And now I'll come back and put that little shape in there. And this